All right, on a bigger hit, better than before. Your host Paul Apollo, and today we are going to talk about gaslighting. Uh, let's start from that side. Introduce yourself.
Robert Atwine once again. Happy to be on the panel once again. Our beloved viewers, hello to everyone. Sit, relax, enjoy, and give us your reviews.
Hi guys, Diego Alexander once again. I'm happy to be here. Let's synergize and share our thoughts about this month of men's mental health awareness.
Hi everyone, Isaac here. Happy to be here in the panel to give out opinion and to share these healthy issues. Sit down and listen for this good conversation. Thank you.
All right, we are going to do a little bit different. We are going to combine gaslighting and manipulation, because what we know is that gaslighting is a form of manipulation, right? You all agree with me. So how would you define gaslighting and manipulation in your own words, and what are the key differences? Anyone?
Actually, if I may start, I will say using your reactions, like someone basing on your reactions to avoid taking accountability for their actions or for what they did against you, is the best way of describing manipulation, like in layman's understanding. Like someone offends you or they do something wrong towards you, and then they trigger you to react. Then basing on your reaction, now they use it against you. They make you the bad person instead of taking accountability for what they did.
Right.
This is the best way of manipulation. Like you said, gaslighting is under manipulation. It's one of the ways of manipulating. Yeah. So most people, they use this like in day-to-day life, and such characters are very complicated to deal with. And these are the kind of people that when they are in public, they are the good people. So sometimes even when you want to bring it out, it's hard for the society or for the public to believe your story. They think you're the wrong person because they perfect it in a way. They manipulate you and even manipulate the people who are judging the situation.
Right.
So from what you've said is that those manipulators or the gaslighters, they gain the power and control over someone, by making them doubt themselves, in short. All right, what would you say about manipulation and gaslighting?
All right. First of all, you have to understand this from a mental perspective, because it's all a mental arena, if I should call it. Because one thing you have to understand, this is all psychological. Yeah. So a gaslighter is someone who has a psychological disorder like narcissism. So before they even realize that they're narcissists, already they're manipulating you. They're twisting events, they're twisting situations, they're twisting conversations, they're making things appear the way they are actually not, or they're making things happen to suit themselves. For example, now for like a narcissist, someone who sees themselves better than others, they want everything to be about them, they want everything to be shown as if they are the ones who are on top. They have a high sense of self-awareness where they want everyone to see them as the best, or something like that.
They are too self-centered.
Yes, they are very self-centered, very selfish, very their persona and their egotistical in approach to make things seem that if they have wronged you, it is actually you who is on the wrong. So they'll twist events to make it look like they are the victim, when actually they are the oppressor. You're the victim, but now they've switched the tables around. You get? Yeah. So gaslighting takes many forms. It can be as silent as no speech. It can be very loud. It can be just actions. Yeah. It takes various forms, but it takes also somebody who is enlightened to actually realize that, hey, there's some manipulation, there's some games being played here, and how you react to them is what makes you either the victim or makes you free of it. Yeah.
All right. What would you say about manipulation and gaslighting?
Let me say that manipulators are the worst people to be around with. First of all, Manipulators is a type of a person who will change things and flame them against you. They will not see their action, but they will use it against you. Okay. For instance, a manipulator. A manipulator is somebody who will do things. They will just make you feel like unwanted. They will push you to the wall, and when you react, they will use that. They will just pull the victim card, and now you'll be on the spot. They will flame you, and they will
strip you.
They will even strip you in front of everyone to see how bad you are. You see, that's how a manipulator, and they're the worst people to be around with.
Sure. Yeah. So and so that means if someone knows your weakness, they will use it to exploit you for personal gain.
Actually, to
That's
add
a
on
form.
that,
Yeah.
actually, I think we are all manipulators in one way or the other, but there are characters who have mastered it.
Yeah.
These characters will study you. They know your weaknesses. They know your reactions.
Yeah.
So they know how to guilt trip you. For instance, someone has offended you in a way, and then they know how you react. Especially if you start questioning them, they will not respond with answers. They'll answer the questions with questions. They want to first know, how much do you know? How much are you charging them with? So then they guilt trip you, they turn it against you. Because for them, they know it's psychological. They have to first get exactly what is in your mind, how are you reacting, and then they turn it against you. Then if it has happened even before, you'll be like, you remember the other month, you did this and this.
Right.
Are you sure? Are you sure it was me?
Yeah.
Can you mention another time such a thing has happened?
Yeah.
So you start questioning even your own sanity. You're like, maybe I was telling you you're overreacting, you're being insensitive, you're being insecure, you're like, yeah, they use this against you. But also, they study your character very well. They know your weaknesses. If you've had a weakness and you've shared it with them, they can also turn it against you. I know.
Yeah.
You've not, maybe you've been an addict or you've been addicted to something. I think this is the result of this and this.
Yes,
This is the result of drugs, you see. You need to take your meds. You need to see someone. You're overreacting.
Yeah.
You're taking things personal. But they will never take accountability of their actions.
I guess maybe it comes also from how, because no one is born a narcissist. It has to, there's something that triggered it, and then they used it as a mechanism, either to cope, to be at par, or to overcome whatever situation is, maybe in their home, or maybe in class, or maybe in life, Because there are people who maybe their upbringing is very competitive, and the only way they can overshadow their counterparts or their fellow siblings is to make situations twist to their advantage. We all do that. Even kids, you'll see one kid coming, they see the parent is focusing on maybe one kid, and they'll just trip, fall down, so that the parent can shift attention and be like, ameanguka.
Yeah.
So it is a form, all of us have a form of manipulation, but you don't use it like to the extreme where now it becomes a violation, because all forms of manipulation is actually abuse. It's psychological abuse. It's mental abuse. And at the end, one is left wounded as a victim, and the other one walks away as if nothing happened. And then when asked about it, they'll be like, hey, that one was the bad person, hey, Yeah.
Yeah, they always play the victim. If they see the event is all about Paul, he's the one taking all the attention, it's his day, he's the one being celebrated, they will have to fake something so that they can also gain some attention. So
I think they normally want the show to be all about them.
Yeah.
Right?
They want everything to be all about them.
Those people are the kind of people that will make you even question your sanity. Right?
Yeah.
They'll even make you feel like, how am I? Like somebody will tell you like, everybody says that. Okay, you'll feel that is the sentence which make you in a side of isolation.
Yeah.
Like
everybody's against you.
Everybody,
and they see that. Yeah.
they see about it. But it's only you who doesn't see about it.
Yeah.
So that person is keeping you in an isolation room.
Yeah.
That's the time now you start questioning your sanity and say,
Yeah.
maybe they are right. And that is kind of manipulation. Yeah.
All right. So that means they will make someone question their own reality. like they will always play the victim role. They will always make others believe that you are a bad person or something like that. So let's go to the next question. Can you share common tactics or phrases that a gaslighter might use on how that impacts the victim perception of reality? Some of the common or phrases that a gaslighter or a manipulator will use, which are some of the phrases or maybe common words that a gaslighter will use, because we might not be sure of a person who is a gaslighter or a manipulator. Others are under that manipulation or gaslighting situation, but they don't know. But they would like to realize, or they would like to know the portrait characters or the phrases that a gaslighter might use, so that they can be able to evade themselves from that gaslighter or manipulator. So which are some of the common tactics or phrases that a gaslighter or a manipulator will use? That is my question.
Two of the most, if I may say, I can say one is guilt tripping and the other one is projection.
Phrases. He said phrases.
Phrases.
Common phrases that a gaslighter uses
Mm.
to make you be manipulated.
Yeah, the common phrases, for instance, there is this one of you're over-assuming things, you're overreacting, you take things personal.
Yeah.
These kind of statements. Because you ask questions and it's like, but why do you always take things personal? You can even say, it was just a joke, you're overreacting. Why are you taking it too far? I didn't mean it like this. You always overreact. So I think these are some of the common phrases, like you're overreacting, you're taking things personal, you're being too insecure, you're being too sensitive.
Are you sure? Are you really sure? Was it at that time? Really? You know, it's your sense of your bearings, your mental compass gets shaken and true north is no longer there. Yeah, so that at least things can take a different turn and then to make about turn to be all from their point of view.
Like they will create a very awkward joke, and when you react, they'll say, "You are very sensitive. Don't be like that. It was just a joke.
Where's your sense of humor?
Why are you like this? You know." And that kind of joke it's not really a joke.
Right.
It has a meaning.
Yeah.
And this
The other
meaning,
challenge.
they are gaslighting on a very far end, whereby they are measuring how you are going to behave. And if you are going to tolerate such kind of a joke, it will be now the journey or the genesis of you being in manipulation circle. But when you react, they are now the victim, and you are now the culprit.
Yeah, it's always you to blame.
Exactly.
They are looking for that point where to blame you. For instance, you're in a relationship, then maybe the other partner is in the wrong. They use something. For instance, yesterday we were a bit busy, you didn't call them. Now they will use that for today. And
Exactly.
then when you react, they have you.
Sure.
Now you even forget about what was the main issue, and it all comes back to you. Yeah.
Sure.
You're dealing with a new problem.
Yeah, sure.
They're always looking for scapegoats.
Yeah.
Sure. So for someone who is suspecting that they are being gaslighted or manipulated, what is the very first step that they should do or consider taking to protect themselves from gaslighters or manipulators?
I can say the very first step is always trust your instincts. Always trust your instincts and don't give them a chance to go deep. Like if you give someone a chance, like to have a deep conversation, a lengthy conversation, they will end up trapping you. So it's always better when they start using this against you, you can be like, okay, I don't want this to go far, but already you know this person, the direction they are taking, you call it off. You call off the conversation. If they don't want to take accountability, of course you not force them to take the accountability. So you can look for ways of ending that conversation and always trust your instincts. Instincts most of the times are always right. They are always right. They can gaslight you and make you have doubts about your sanity. You have second thoughts. But at the end of the day, instincts are always right, 99% of the time.
Yeah, they will also even make you feel like you are not trusted or you're not trustworthy. You're not someone who can be trusted in anything. Yeah, sure.
I always say that if you don't want to trade with the devil, stay out of his market.
Yeah.
Market, yeah.
Okay, now for this kind of manipulators, the best way for you is to stay away from them. And if you cannot stay away from them, try to put them off the balance. Try, even if you're having conversation with them, try to question them with very factual questions. For example, if somebody is telling you a very sad story about themselves, don't get emotional about them. Please don't. Because the time you get emotional about them, that's the time now you're going closer to where they want you to
be
go.
manipulated, yeah.
What you have just said just reminds me of one mental picture that I had. Somebody was talking about something on TikTok, and they were saying that when they were doing their thing as a manipulator, it was one lady who said that she lost her husband, and it was due to that behavior. And she was saying this was someone who used to bring me flowers, used to take care of, all those things, the best kind of guy. And she said that the time she realized, it was already too late. So as from his question now, I, as the man who is trying to protect or safeguard myself against that kind of either gaslighting or form of manipulation, is equip yourself. As a man, the best way to stand, because it's always a battleground, either at work or at home, in the road, in the taxi, in the bus, it's always a battleground. If you're not fighting to protect your body, you're fighting to protect your mind. You're fighting to protect your eyes, because the best way to get to a man is through something that attracts the eyes, So equip yourself with knowledge. Equip yourself with those cues, those small hints. Just when you notice it, you just put a mental note that something is happening. Either you defend or you attack. And then you also don't play the emotion card. It's easy. I'm an emotional person. I'm very emotional when I am emotional, but also I have to find a way I can either self-control myself or not let it slip, so that I can deal with it from a man's perspective, so that I can be a stoic, so that I can be at least robust, so that I can handle the situation whereby I'm not letting the narcissist win. Narcissism happens everywhere, from workplaces, in the home, from parents, from kids.
Yeah.
It's always there. So you just have to be on guard and then know how to deal with it. Because if you let it slip, you're the one who will be you'll be the one who will be the victim.
Yeah.
And at the same time, people will say, "Hey, why did you fall down? And you knew this place is slippery." You get, yeah.
I get the point. Mr. Robert.
Actually, what he was saying, like the last statement he made, they will always look for that one loophole. You have all your facts right, you're all okay, but they will always look for that one loophole. Why did you fall down? You're seeing it's a slippery floor. So even when you're right 98%, they look for the other 2% and turn it against you.
Yeah.
But there is also one thing about manipulation that we usually ignore. There is this light way of doing things, like sweet talking you. When I need something from Paul and I know he will not give it to me if I come direct, I look for ways of sweet talking him. I look for something, maybe achieved something last week, I come with it, congratulations, man, you're so good at this. So I put him in the mood where I want him, and then I know when Paul is happy, he will do what? He will give me what I want. So this is also one of the ways of manipulation. When someone wants something from you, they'll be so nice to you. They can even gift you. Someone who has never gifted you will come with a nice perfume, and this perfume is so good. You can try it. You can keep it actually. I even have someone who gives where we can get them at a cheap. And then always you need to question yourself, what does he get in this? It's not usually this good. It's not usually this kind.
Yeah.
So it's also one of the ways, one of the forms of manipulation. Like people know how to get to you, to get what they want out of you.
All right, so let's go to another question. And this will be, how can allies or families or friends, members, boost support of someone who believes is being gaslighted or manipulated with inadvertently and not enabling the abuser or not isolating the victim? Like, what I mean is, how can you support that person? How can you help that person who is being gaslighted or manipulated without separating them from, maybe, let's say, for example, it's in a relationship, a husband and a wife. The husband is manipulating the wife, but you don't want to come in and separate the couple, and you don't want to isolate the victim, but in a way that you're going to help them heal or come out of that manipulation. How can you, which are the ways that you can use to help that person who is being manipulated without separating them?
Actually, I don't want to sound so negative, but I have an open mind. I will learn also from your sides. But I do think these manipulative characters who have mastered it, who are at that point, usually they don't change. So if someone is manipulating you and it's to the extreme point, I think the best solution is to cut them out of your life. Unless they are like too important in your life to cut off, then you can look for mechanisms also to deal with them and not allow them deep into your life. Otherwise, it will always be there. Manipulation is so bad to the point that the victim can end up in therapy.
True. Very true.
Yeah, it can give you mental health issues.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
find you're not mentally okay.
Yeah.
You're questioning your sanity.
Yeah.
Even it lowers your self-esteem and
True.
self-confidence.
True.
Because they make you think like you have a problem. Yeah, you're not good enough.
Yeah.
You can't do it. Yeah.
Mm.
So they put you in such a situation, and it's so bad, it's so negative. So the best way, actually, this is how I deal with negativity. If I see someone is always negative, I don't give them access to my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can be accomplices, we can be colleagues, hey, but sensitive issues, I won't allow them into my life.
Yeah.
This is me, my opinion, and this is how I deal with it. But maybe there are other ways, and I'm open-minded. I'm willing to learn from you guys.
Okay. Sorry. You go.
Yeah,
Go.
sure.
Yeah.
You have asked a very good question, but again, that is a very sensitive question regarding married people and somebody is being in that manipulation circle. First of all, these are not ordinary people, these are married people. And if there is a long life prison, is married. And I don't know what happens, because when you're in marriage and let's say when you're in love with someone,
Right.
it's very hard to see their mistake.
You're too blind. Yeah.
Even if somebody, the
Love is
third party,
blind.
True. Yeah.
even if the third party comes along and point out the mistake, it's very hard for you to see.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this is the only way to win this war is by yourself, not by that party.
True.
Okay. And I always say that the only power that anyone can have, let's say a man, because this is June and it's mental health.
Yes.
Mental
The
health
only power
awareness.
that a man can have
Yeah.
is not really money.
No.
Is the power to walk away.
Uh-huh.
Okay? Even if you're in a negotiation deal, the person who has the power is the person who has the power to walk away. Okay, you say, okay, I'm selling this land, 1 million.
Mm.
Okay, I'm giving you the 2 million. I have the power to walk away. I'm telling you, okay, guys,
Yeah.
I have 500,000.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it. I'm going away.
Yeah.
I have the power over you. Because even in that session, you'll take your 2 minutes to say, okay, let's first talk, let's first think about it. We are coming back to you. Because I have that power.
Yeah.
So in marriage, the only person who has the power is the person who has the power of walking away. And that if you are being manipulated, don't stay there, please.
Let me say something also. You've both touched on very heavy issues, yeah? And the thing that struck me, that reminded me, is most of the time when you're under manipulation or you're being a target or you're being abused or you're the victim, there are times when you don't realize because it is a trauma-based situation. And then there's this thing about where you become attached. No, it is now a trauma bond, where you're so damaged to the point whereby you develop Stockholm syndrome. Now you're even more attached. Now you're so in love with that kind of evil treatment to the point where you can't separate it. Where people are like, hey, umekaliwa chapati bana, and you're like, actually I love it. I can't do without it. You get.
Yeah,
So you find now the victim has developed trauma-based adaptive psychological means to actually love that kind of mistreatment. Now the thing that you've asked is, you cannot separate. There are times when you cannot separate the victim and the oppressor, especially if they are in bonds which are lifetime bonds. Because first of all, remember that the narcissist who has now these gaslighting tendencies and manipulative tendencies, this is something that is a lifetime psychological disorder. It is someone like with ADHD or bipolar disorder or borderline, those kinds of psychological disorder. This is something that can't leave them. It's with them for life. Now, the person who is the victim is the one who has to be empowered enough to realize that this person is acting and I'm reacting. So either of us has to take turns to know who has the superpower to realize that this is happening. How can I diffuse it? Because it's like a time bomb. It's something that is, when it explodes, the reaction now is what triggers either a fight, an argument, a verbal abuse, physical abuse. Now it now degenerates into now worse situations. You get. Now the person who holds that power of realizing that, okay, this is happening. Wait, stop. Let's de-escalate so that we don't end up where it's actually irreversible. You get. Because you can apologize, you can take back words, but once you start becoming physically violent, you cannot erase physical damage. You get. So once you realize that, hey, this is what has been happening, this is how it starts, this is where it starts from, then now you isolate those issues, like either it's honesty or it's accountability, as he was pointing out, or it's about now seeing how, yes, because both of these parties need healing, the narcissist and the victim, because this other person has been suffering, and maybe they even don't know that they're actually suffering. You get. They're actually just, it's like under a spell. You get. And the people who are outside, they're like, hey, we are just watching these people tear each other down. And ukiingilia, a few weeks later, they're back together and you look like the idiot, You're trying to save people who actually want to kill each other. You get. So it's for them to be equipped with the right kind of information, the right kind of ways to address it, so that both of them don't pull each other, because it's a cycle. One person twists, the other person turns. When this other person twists, the other one now, it's a reaction, action, action, reaction. So you find like it will never end until they sit down and they say, wait, before we start throwing punches, where did this start? How did it start? Let's go back to the table. Let's diffuse it to a point whereby, okay, you can just say, I'm sorry, I did this. And instead of deflecting, avoiding, diverting, bringing up other situations to cover up this so that you don't answer up for, you can address it and say, look, I own up to this. This is what I did. I fucked up. I messed up. Let's start again.
A manipulator will not say that.
I know it's not easy. Yes, it's not easy. That's why I'm saying both of them need healing. Yeah.
So
how long
does to add on what you're saying, there is one important factor: setting boundaries.
Exactly.
Being straightforward with someone and being clear with what you can tolerate and what you cannot tolerate. You set boundaries, and this also comes with self-respect and self-love. You first have to love yourself as a person.
Yeah.
No, this thing I'm taking in at a certain point, it will be too much for me to handle.
True.
So you set boundaries, you set limits. You're like, if you're going to go on like this, I cannot tolerate this and this and this and this. You point out what you cannot handle.
Sure.
So you set clear boundaries with the person.
Yeah.
If they cannot fit within those boundaries, they cannot follow up with what you can handle and what you can't handle, then it's very clear. You have to look for means of either closing up the gap or moving away. Your mental health is
paramount.
Yeah, it's paramount.
True.
When you see it's too much, it's beyond what you can handle, better you walk away. It's not a do or die. Even in marriages, people end up committing suicide or doing because of these kind of things.
Yeah.
So if you see it's too much for you, better you pull out.
Yeah.
So setting clear boundaries is very important. Having self-love, self-respect is very important. Because I've seen guys, they're in a relationship because they love the lady too much. It happens also for the other gender as well.
True.
But let me use
From the man's perspective,
man's perspective.
Right.
Because you love the lady too much, you feel like you cannot survive without them. So every time they do something wrong, then they turn it against you, they throw a tantrum, they feel like if you keep overreacting like this, I will leave, I cannot handle this. And yet they are the ones who are in wrong. They are the ones with the actions. But
You
they
even
don't want
go to a
take
point of
accountability.
apologizing and you're not the one
you
who
even
did
go
wrong.
to the point of apologizing, you're like, oh babe, I'm so sorry, I'm sorry I overreacted.
For mistakes you haven't done.
I think
You're apologizing on their behalf. Yeah.
I think good people serve us more, and good people, they take more sorries and apology, and they end up suffering more.
Yeah.
You know, like a good man will get to that trap of maybe the partner.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, babe. Blah 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 blah.
Mm.
As a good man, you say, okay, okay. That sorry is okay. But how many times that will this sorry repeat itself?
And actually, if you start like that in small issues, you apologize, okay, you don't want to exaggerate the issue, then she will start to know, I have this guy now. She start taking you for granted.
Exactly.
Even on bigger occasions, she knows he's going nowhere. She knows he's there, he's going nowhere. I will just take it back to him. I overreact.
Apologize.
So that one we can say that
apologize.
kindness for weakness.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because one thing.
Too much kindness is a weakness.
Exactly.
When you
Sure.
start out, even let's say now in a marriage, you start out and you're actually a macho man. You've embraced your masculinity, you know.
Yeah.
But those pegs get knocked off one by one to the point where now you're a simp. You're this shell of a person, you know. And the best way to do it is climb back to that person who has self-esteem. Go back to the gym, as in look your best, look in the mirror and say, hey, you're a winner, you know.
Sure.
And the worst thing that can happen is for you not to do it. It just takes a simple step as saying, hey, I want to be a stoic today. I just want to be that person who now doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, sure.
So when they react and they act and they wait for your reaction,
Become
you're like
nonchalant.
a wall. You're nonchalant, you don't give a fuck up, and you're handling business. You're paying your bills, you're looking excellent, you're dressing well, you know, so that to the point whereby now the person who was doing the abusing, they'd be like, okay, so something was happening and this guy has now broken that spell. So either they will escalate, so that when you see it now it's being escalated, you'll be like, hey, you see, I gave you a millimeter, you turned it from a millimeter to a centimeter, now it's becoming a kilometer. Thank you so much. Yeah.
They don't lack option. They'll baptize you.
Of course, they'll have to label you.
Narcissist.
They'll have to twist it so that, but it is up to you to
So it
how
fits
you're
their
going
narrative.
to. Yes, it has to be twisted so that a boat becomes a ship becomes a spaceship, you know. So it is up to you to decide, okay, this is how I'm going to handle it, and then take steps, constructive steps. Either you decide, okay, we're going to go both of us to therapy so that we can isolate the issue and de-escalate, diffuse, so that, because no one wants to get divorced, no one wants to end up as they started out. Maybe there are people who have put in 30 years into their marriages, and this is a defensive mechanism this person has developed because of midlife crisis or loss of a job or loss of a loved one. So now it has sparked and triggered that previously hidden manipulative tendencies that they had. So it's up to you to sit and take charge, you know.
But
as a man, and especially this month of mental awareness for men, if you don't take charge, as we said last week when we were holding our podcast, usipopanga utapangwa. Na ukipangwa usilaumu mtu because you're the one who took a back seat. Yeah.
Right. So this month being the mental health month, what is one advice or key piece of advice that you would give to the listeners who are either trying to identify those behaviors in in their own lives or support someone who is experiencing them? What is that key piece of advice that you would give to those people?
To the culprits of the manipulations.
Yeah.
Actually, this gentleman talked about these divorces and these tendencies in marriages, but usually, character is like pregnancy.
True.
You can hide it for a while,
But
in the due course it will come out.
it will come out.
Yeah, it will be seen.
True.
So the best way of avoiding these things, especially in marriages, is to be critical when you're dating. Understand the person. Usually people will never change. If they are showing these manipulative tendencies and gaslighting, when you're dating someone, usually before you marry, you're dating someone for a year or 2 years, already you know their characters. So the more you grow with them, if you cannot sort them out at the dating stage, then just know this is the wife you're taking home. Either you enslave yourself to the process, or you look for the solutions before you go there. And if it cannot be solved, then walk away, look for plan B.
And talking of that, do manipulators or gaslighters really fall in love?
do they even realize?
Just don't be a simp.
Can I answer your question? Yes. Okay. There are like 3 ways to overcome that situation. The first is books. Educate yourself, educate others. Yeah. The other one is elevate your mindset, elevate your capacity, because as much as your capacity for taking bullshit is big, your capacity to your latitude, you've been so wide, but now it's time to climb, so you elevate your mindset, elevate your ability to rise above the situation. Another thing is also to find mechanisms in other places. Now the social media is information is almost everywhere, you get, whereby you can just Google and say, okay, how to solve this, because there are situations where you can't divorce your parent. Your parent can be very narcissistic, yeah? But you can't divorce your parent. You can't choose them. You can't run away from them.
You can look for mechanisms of
yes, you can look for mechanisms where now you see, hey, dad is doing this now, or mom is doing this, so let me find a way to either develop a system to break it down, so that as they are diverse, they are digressing, to turn it around, you're bringing it back into center forward, because most of the time there's the big elephant in the room, and they'll be like, no, it was about the forest, it was about you. So you have to find a way to keep that topic on the hot topic that you're dealing with, so that instead of it turning into a gaslighting situation or a manipulative situation, you bring it back into center forward and say, no, we were talking about this, so let's address this first. That one, we'll deal with it when we can't get to the river, we'll cross that bridge. Let's deal with this now. So books, elevate, educate yourself, show yourself the best form of yourself, as in ujibadilishe. Yes. If it takes self-transformation, do it. If it means shaving that big beard that you had, if it takes shaving your locks or your hair, or so that you can actually see yourself in that glory, because most people who are victims of that lose their former glory. So once that former glory is gone, come back up again. Just like Samson, when alinyolewa nywele zake, he sat down and he said, hey, let me get back to where I was, let me dust myself off, get up, grow that hair again, and live to fight another day. You get that's my 3 points that I can say.
Society, I don't know who came out with this narrative that men are not supposed to talk, men are supposed to keep quiet, men are supposed just to keep it.
Bottled in.
Exactly, you should be a man. But of course,
this is
that narrative,
just too African actually.
That narrative, it has really destroyed many men. As a man, if you spot something, just talk. Okay, I know you cannot talk to everyone, right? There are some people who, once you share your problem with them,
they use it against you.
Exactly, they will use it against
you. They'll criticize you.
Okay, just spot somebody who is mature, safe space, either a counselor, go talk to them,
a therapist
get
as well.
advice, therapist, good people like that. choose your group
Mm.
of mature people, talk with them, have some activities, gym and so on, so that you can bring back your glory.
Mhm.
And also, when you have maybe a partner, and you can see, you can spot those characters of manipulative,
Mm.
she's just a partner. You can leave her, or you can leave him.
Like you said
Right?
before, have
But
the
if
power
it's apparent,
to walk away
exactly, that's the point.
and to say no.
That's the power
Yeah.
to walk away.
Uh-huh.
That is the power, the best power that a man can have. And but if maybe these manipulators are coming from relative, parents, I know that one, it's somehow very hard to break.
Yeah, sure.
But you can develop some mechanism to shield yourself from them. But always know that they are your people.
Yeah.
Like, especially when it comes, let's say, finances. Maybe these people are manipulating you to finance them or to give them money. There is always a way of saying no, but not directly, not telling someone no. For instance, someone comes to you, they want 500, but you have your own budget, you cannot give them 500. And is someone who is important in your life, and you cannot tell them, no, I cannot help you. So you can, if you can afford 100, you can sacrifice the 100 and give them 100 so they can start from there.
Can I add something on that?
Sure.
Siwezi, sitaki, sifanyi, sianzi, siwezi. You know, you can say that to yourself. Use it as a mantra. For men are very generous creatures. You give to your brothers, your sisters, your aunties, your daughters, everyone. You're giving, you know. And saying no is very hard, especially when you come from a place where you used to lack and you empathize with that other person. A narcissist doesn't have empathy.
Yeah, they don't have
They don't have
in their
empathy.
life.
Actually, they don't even care about you and how you feel. But now, from that point where they're manipulating and they know that you are very generous, so they'll twist it so that you give whatever they want to you. You can sing that to yourself, you know. Siwezi, staki, sifanyi, you know. And then, when you say no, stick to it.
So no has the power.
It's only 2 letters.
Only
It's,
two,
it's
but
not
it
too
has-
hard to
but it
comprehend
has
N
power.
and O,
Yeah, sure.
and then stick to it. You can't say staki, and then 3 minutes you're like, oh my goodness, I have hurt that person's feelings. Let me at least send them half. Maybe it will help them. No, if you said no. If it means putting your money in a locked saving, put it. If it means even denying yourself so that they don't have access to it, do it so that you can achieve your goals. Because those goals that you want to achieve are actually what will help you elevate yourself.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And to wind up, I would like to ask just a free question. Anyone would like to answer? Have you ever been manipulated, or have you ever been gaslighted? And how do you realize that you are being gaslighted? Or at the moment, are you being gaslighted or manipulated?
Actually, I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but I think I can see through the gaslighting. Okay, sometimes you comply, but you already see. But maybe you just want to save the situation, you don't want to, and you just give in, you're like, let it go, for the sake of it. But for me, it's very easy to detect when someone is gaslighting me. Because through experiences, there is a time when I was easily manipulated, but through experiences I've learned, I know all the tactics. I can see through someone. I know they are employing now this tactic. So it's I cannot call it a challenge on my side. I can handle it for now.
Yeah. Can I answer you also? Yeah, I've been a victim many times. It's not like I've never been there. I've been there. It has happened. But the beautiful thing about it is it turns a sheep into a lion. Because you can't get to the mountaintop without going through the valley. Yeah. So you find that these things are what makes the manliness of your masculinity actually stick. Because you've been there, you've done that, you've suffered, and you're like, okay, now that I am back up again, mini mawe, mini simba, you know, you arm yourself better so that you have learned how to identify it, you have learned how to isolate it, you have learned how to deal with it. So when you see it, you call this person out with their bullshit and you're like, I can't take this because this is what you're doing and I can see it. So either you stop, we de-escalate, we deal with the situation at hand in an amicable way, in a mature way, because most of the times when you understand that the person who is manipulating you actually has a mental problem, and they have another problem which they are trying to deal with, that's why they are bringing this problem to you. So it is your wisdom to sit down and you say, okay, I've seen these 3 items on the table, so I'm going to start with this in order to solve that mental problem that they have. So because it's also a defensive mechanism for that person. You find that most manipulators don't even know that they're manipulating, but it's a defensive inbuilt that has it cropped up maybe in their childhood, so they're using that to arm themselves, and then they're harming those who are around them.
So generally, manipulators are not open-minded. They will always be defensive.
It's a mechanism, yes. It's a coping mechanism for them to handle their disorder.
Yeah, but what you're saying is true. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Okay, let me answer your question. You have asked if we have experience.
If you ever been manipulated, or are you being manipulated?
Sure.
Have you ever been gaslighted?
First of all, we before we say good men serve us a lot, right? Let me say that I'm not in that category of good men.
No, don't be.
I'm not. First of all, for me, before you convince me and before you manipulate me, it will take a lot of work. I can see you from miles away, how you are planning and what you are trying to do. And for many people who knows me, normally I go silent to many people just like that. When I spot somebody is trying to manipulate me, is trying to convince me to something which I don't want.
And there are situations when you just give in for
I'm
the
also
sake.
good in questioning. For me, you cannot just tell me this is a cow. I'll have to ask you, how do you know this is a cow?
Yeah.
Okay, do you have any history about it? I'll just put you off the balance. And for me, if you don't convince me, for sure.
So it's checks and balances.
Of course, and manipulator will spot this guy. I cannot. Let me just move it.
Do you
Let me
manipulate?
just move away. Let me just leave it. That's how I am.
Do you manipulate?
Okay. I don't do, but if I want to do, I can use it because
So the best, that is one of the best tactics.
I have mastered
Is one
this.
of the best tactics.
If you're a salesperson,
If I have mastered the circle, how I cannot be manipulated. I can manipulate someone.
Yeah.
But for real, I don't want to use that character of manipulating someone because I know maybe I may manipulate someone and this thing may come back to me, even if it's not to me directly. It will come back to me, either to my daughter.
But you see, the beautiful thing about what you're saying is that you're seeing the repercussions in a negative perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's this book called The Power of Subconscious Mind. This salesperson was saying that the only superpower he has is manipulation. Because the moment he twists this customer's mind to leave the Lamborghini and buy a Ferrari is his superpower.
Yeah.
And the benefit and the consequences is what? Is money. So
even I remember
that is why I'm telling you. That is why I'm telling you. A narcissist or someone who has that disorder, he's seeing it from the profit point of view.
Yeah.
They're not the victim. At the end of the day, he'll borrow 20,000 out of you. You'll be like, oh, I don't have that money. We are suffering. And you'll be like, okay, I don't have. 2 minutes later, you'll be like, okay, I can bring you 10,000. What if this person wanted the 10,000, made it 20,000 so that you can come down halfway? So you also have to see it that this person, this is their superpower. It is now for you to have the best defensive mechanisms to come up.
So that means
business and marketing, I think it's allowed. It's okay for business.
That is why I say, is he a salesperson? Because if you're in sales and marketing, you have to be successful.
You have to be successful. Yeah, sure. So that means manipulation can be passed from one generation to another. This can even affect your own generation.
It's
If you are a manipulator or a gaslighter, the children will also copy the manipulation and the gaslighting that you are doing there at home, right? All right. So
allow me say this to our viewers who don't view our podcast to the end.
Yeah.
They are missing out so much.
A lot.
Because this content we are giving, you watch first 5 minutes and stop there, and you find you're supposed to get some knowledge to equip yourself.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe you're being manipulated all the time. I'm not gaslighting, I'm just giving information. So if you start watch to the end.
Sure.
Because you will really learn a lot from it.
Actually.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. It gets better, and full of fun. When it's ending, that's when it get better. So don't just watch the first 2 minutes or the first 15 minutes. Watch until the end. So to mark the end of our show today on a bigger and better hit, this was your host Paul Apollo, and we are grateful for you.
Can we leave something behind for men's
Yeah, sure.
mental health awareness?
Exactly.
So all kings out there, this is not segregative, but is men's mental health awareness month since it's June. So all kings out there, just know you're loved. Whatever situation you're going through, whether it's a financial crisis, whether it's a mental breakdown or whatever, self-love is very important. You're valued, you're loved, and you should love yourself. Go out there, go to the gym, work out, work on that project you've been thinking of. The most important is starting. If you just think of it and write it on paper and you don't start, it will never manifest. Take that step. Take a leap of faith. Start that project. Go work on your body. Read books like my colleague here said. Equip yourself with that strength, with that power. The power of walking away, the power of saying no. This is very important for you. And don't give up. Life is too sweet and good things are still ahead. So take care of yourself, kings. You're loved.